Americans held hostage behind enemy lines. Day 114.
Joe Biden may have turned the page. We will not. 114 days now, Americans trapped behind enemy lines of terrorists. 127 days since Joe Biden lied and promised he'd leave nobody behind. The media mob, the big tech mob, they have all turned the page as well. And tonight in Afghanistan, or the Islamic Emirates of Afghanistan, they're now facing widespread starvation, economic collapse, a reign of terror. The Taliban just tortured a man to death over a critical Facebook post. Some families are selling their young daughters to Taliban fighters in order to buy food. Clearly, no one is safe, including the Americans and U.S. green card holders that Joe abandoned and military family members. Make no mistake, Joe Biden, he can turn the page all he wants, but they're still trapped behind enemy lines. They see, by the way, the world is watching. Our enemies are all watching. They see Joe Biden on the world stage. They see his weakness. They do not respect him. They do not fear him. And that brings us to our top story tonight, and that is every hostile actor on the world stage, every hostile regime on the world stage is now preparing to take full advantage of the fact that the leader of the free world, the supposed leader, Joe Biden, is weak and in an obvious and significant cognitive decline. They all know Joe has no backbone, Joe has no will, and Joe has no ability to protect America and the Western world's interest around the globe. And by the way, now they are looking to capitalize big time. Tonight, there are three very serious crises on the horizon. Look at Russia. They are now threatening to invade Ukraine. They have a massive troop presence and deployment right on the border. China is threatening to take over Taiwan, or as they call it, reunification. It's a takeover. They're saying so publicly, and they have no problem all day long flying fighter jets all over Taiwan's airspace. Iran is now on the verge of getting nuclear weapons. Joe stupidly is just easing sanctions, as if that's going to work. And it appears most days Joe Biden doesn't even know what day of the week it is. Let's break this down. It's very important. This could go south really fast. First, according to U.S. intelligence, Russian dictator, the hostile actor that he is, Vladimir Putin, is now planning what is a massive military invasion of Ukraine. We have satellite images. They show somewhere between 70,000 and 94,000 Russian troops already amassed at the border. Around 100,000 more soldiers are in the process of being mobilized as we speak. And thanks to Joe Biden green-lighting Russia's Nord Stream 2 pipeline while firing Keystone XL pipeline workers, Putin should have no problem at all funding a large-scale operation. Joe's also begging, ironically, Vladimir to produce more energy so we can import it from him. Now, with each passing day, an invasion seems inevitable. And let me say this one more time. Appeasement and weakness will never work. Tomorrow, Joe Biden is planning to give Vladimir, we are told, a stern talking to, which undoubtedly will resolve nothing. I can tell you one thing the White House won't do. They won't put out a transcript of what Joe has to say, because if they ever did, we could see how weak he really is. Is there any doubts that Putin is laughing behind the scenes at Joe Biden? You don't think Joe is being laughed at, being the cognitive mess he is in the Kremlin? Meanwhile, another deeply concerning international crisis is unfolding a little closer to home. China not only is saber-rattling with Taiwan, they're now reportedly attempting to establish what is their first permanent military base on the Atlantic Ocean, giving China's Navy the ability to operate just off the east coast of the United States. And we thought the hypersonic missile was bad. And this as China continues to ramp up hostilities, as I said, against Taiwan. They refuse to take any responsibility for the pandemic they unleashed on the entire world. It keeps getting worse, one new variant after another. And let's not forget about China's forced labor, their concentration camps. It is now presently modern day being used against their minority Muslim population. So far, Biden's only response, a diplomatic boycott of the Winter Olympics in China in 2022. Oh, in other words, Tony Blinken, the weak Secretary of State that he is, the pathetically weak one, he's not going to be attending the Olympics this year. President Xi is laughing as well at the cognitive mess that is Joe Biden. Which brings us now to the third international crisis. Iran, sadly, dangerously, is closer than ever to developing a nuclear weapon. Now, surprise, surprise, Biden's polite negotiations with the mullahs in Iran have fallen apart. And now the administration is asking China and Russia, America's two biggest foes, help out, pressure Iran with us. Now, Joe begs OPEC and China and Russia. OK, that would be the trifecta of Joe Biden foreign policy failure. And, of course, the other option now being weighed by Joe Biden, just accept a nuclear-armed Iran, a nuclear-capable Iran. In other words, nuclear weapons in the hands of the #1 state sponsor of terror that have this sick, twisted, ugly ideology of convert or die. Now, Joe, here's an idea. Maybe you can send, I don't know, maybe send Hunter, the crack addict turned world-renowned artist. Hunter Biden, you can send him to China and Russia and sort everything out. After all, Hunter's been very successful, raking in massive sums of cash from those two countries over the years without any relevant experience that we can find at all. And, of course, Hunter was selling access to his father. We know that. And meanwhile, we have no idea who's shelling out, what, up to $500,000 for Hunter's, portraits of a crack addict? But I have a feeling these so-called art collectors are looking to buy more than just a terrible painting from an amateur artist. Remember, Hunter Biden is currently under investigation for international tax evasion, money laundering, but he's a Democrat. They get away with everything. The FBI reportedly in possession of Hunter's laptop from hell, as Miranda Devine's book points out. Several months ago, Jen Psaki gladly referring to stories surrounding Hunter Biden's laptop as Russian disinformation. Today, she couldn't be bothered to circle back on the very important story and the lie that she told. Take a look.
Shortly after President Biden's virtual meeting with the Chinese president, the first son's attorney said that he has finally divested from a Chinese investment fund controlled by state-owned entities. I was hoping you could commit to basic transparency about that transaction, including the name of the buyer, the dollar amount, and the timing. And the second question is, my colleague Miranda Devine has a new book out called The Laptop from Hell, and I was hoping that you could confirm that the laptop is indeed authentic and not Russian disinformation, as you seemed to suggest on Twitter last year.
Well, on the first, the president's son is not an employee of the federal government, so I'd point you to his representatives. And as it relates to the book, I have neither had the time nor interest in exploring or reading the book. Go ahead, Tina.
The first son's attorney
Go ahead, Tina.
give any
I think I answered your question. Go ahead. You can go to the representative of the person who's not an employee of the federal government. Go ahead, Tina. I think we have to move on.
No, I think we dodged the question, and moving on is just a convenient way of not facing the reality of selling access to Joe Biden. What about Tony Bobolinsky's charge that Joe Biden sat in on meetings with, let's see, a Chinese energy company? So maybe Jen Psaki, she can confirm that Joe Biden has zero conflict of interest in China and Russia and Ukraine, and she'll never answer that question because the answer is not good. You, the American people, deserve better. And imagine if the last name were Trump. You know, and as former President Trump said over the weekend, he was on with the great one, Mark Levin. He said, let's hope it's not too late for this great republic. Take a look.
President Obama was very divisive, but people were more quiet about it. They didn't want to insult him, but he was very divisive. But the Biden administration is far worse. This country has tremendous potential, tremendous, but we're giving it away, and there'll be a point where the country can't come back, and we can never allow that point to be reached.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.